Welcome to Pixels to Polygons, the 40-bit adventure. I'm your boy Yank. Today, I'm going to dive into the current state of the gaming industry right now. I really wasn't sure if I was going to do a video on this or not. And the reason being is because I try not to get too wrapped up into the gaming news and things like that. But the stuff that's been happening over the last couple weeks, it's bothered me a little bit, and I just feel like I gotta say what I gotta say and want to weigh in on it. So first, let's address the elephant in the room, which most of you probably already know. But as of a couple weeks ago, on July 1st of this year, Sony has announced that they will no longer be producing physical discs for their PlayStation platform as of January of 2028. Sony published the news on the PlayStation.com blog, and I quote, "As consumer preferences and the broader entertainment industry continue to shift away from physical discs to digital, physical game disc production for all new games releasing on PlayStation consoles will be discontinued starting January 2028. Following this date, new games will be available on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. This transition has no impact on games that already released or will be releasing prior to January 2028 in disc format. This is a natural direction for Sony Interactive Entertainment to adapt to consumer trends as the general preference for digital media significantly outpaces physical discs. This transition will enable us to align more closely with how most of our community prefers to access and play games today. We'll continue to prioritize our resources to drive innovation and how players can access games and provide choices as to where players prefer to purchase new games, whether that's at retailers or PlayStation Store. We remain committed to delivering a world-class gaming experience to our fans, and we thank you for your continued support."
Shit!
Obviously, I am not a fan of this at all, as you could probably tell from the wall of physical media behind me. Because now Sony's going to do nothing but control the market. They literally will have a monopoly on it. You can't buy a used game. You can't resell a game when you buy it. You can't let your friend or family borrow a game. Now you literally have to buy it directly from PlayStation on their store or a digital card at retailers, which again, PlayStation will dictate the price. They will be able to charge whatever they want, and there's nothing as you as a consumer can do about it. This 100% benefits them and does nothing for us as the consumer.
Who wants some wang?
Business-wise, I get it. Sony's going to save a lot of money not having to print up discs, the cover art, cases, dealing with distribution, to like Walmart, Best Buy, and all that stuff, and losing a percentage on the cost. So they're just cutting out the middleman. They're going to be saving a lot of money. Again, business-wise, I totally get it. But do you think Sony's going to pass any of that savings on to us as consumers? Hell no. They're not. Again, they're going to still charge $60, $70 on their digital storefront for games that are probably 2 and 3 years old. But at the end of the day, there's nothing we can do about it, because if that's the only place that you can buy the game, then you're just going to have to sit back and take it. And I keep saying that they're doing this as a shift in where all their sales are. And it says that digital sales account for 75 to 80% of all their revenue in game sales. But this includes like DLC, microtransactions, or for even games that don't have a physical option. Like they're only released digitally. I want to see what the numbers are one for one only for games that have a physical release and a digital release. Not DLC, not microtransactions. I'm talking full games. I bet you the numbers are a lot closer than you would think. Just for the simple fact, there are companies out there that release physical versions of games that are digitally released, that are only digitally released upon when they come out. Like limited run, super rare games. If people weren't buying them physical, or they weren't that big of a issue, then I don't think these companies would have been in business for as long as they are. But now that Sony's discontinuing the discs, but now that Sony is discontinuing the discs for the PlayStation platform, since they're the manufacturer of them, that means limited run and super rare games can't even release physical copies of games on their platform once they stop manufacturing them. So that's going to go away as well. Game development has ballooned to staggering numbers over the last 10 years or so. Sony took a huge hit when they released Concord last year, which had apparently had a $400 million budget. And yet they refunded all purchases of the game and shut it down after 2 weeks. Oh, and it had an 8-year development cycle. That's a hard pill to swallow. I don't care who you are. You're just going to eat that and say, well, okay, well, let's move on. But then again, if you look over in Xbox and Microsoft, the new Gears of War coming out later this year, Gears of War E-Day, apparently cost $400 million. And it's going to be available day one on Game Pass. To just break even, you got to sell like 8 to 9 million copies at full retail, again, to break even. I don't know about you, and I don't know anything about running a tech company. Or maybe I'm just an idiot, but to me, that math ain't mathing at all. So I don't understand how as the company is thinking that they're going to make money off of this.
Marcus, what in God's name are you doing here? You're going to get yourselves killed, both of you.
Come on, Dad. I've come to get you out of here.
I've got to save my research. Do you understand how important it is?
That's crazy. The development bubble for these games has gotten way too big. And the solution that these companies have come up with now is to go to a digital only format to take full control of how their games are purchased, cutting out all retailers. No competition is not good for any of us. Borrowing a game, reselling a game, buying a game used are all going to be things in the past. Let's not forget the hardware prices right now because of the rising cost of components too. Gaming used to be a hobby that you could get into rather easily with the low cost of entry. But now it's becoming a hobby that is eventually going to force out the casual gamer because of the rising hardware prices and the monopoly on buying games. The next gen of consoles will be the first generation since the Xbox, PS2, and GameCube era that I'm probably not going to own all consoles. If the consoles are $1,000 or more a piece, I'll probably skip the PS6 because I'm an Xbox gamer and play 90% on Xbox. But I also understand that a lot of people went digital a long time ago and don't care about this announcement. And Sony has been the one catching a lot of heat online the past couple of weeks for coming out and saying that they're no longer going to do physical media as of January 2028. But Xbox has been slowly moving towards this digital only format for the last few years without blatantly coming out and saying it. I couldn't tell you how many times I have come to pre-order a game only to find out there's only a physical version going to be on PlayStation and a physical version on Nintendo. Digital only for Xbox. Unless, again, sometimes I can catch it later down the road due to like a limited run games or super rare games does something like that. But off the top of my head, the Tomb Raider remasters, again, I own both of those on the Switch because they didn't have a Xbox version upon release, or even a little more not so well known game called Slitterhead. I was super stoked for this game and wanted to buy it on the Xbox. And again, it was digital only, so I bought the physical version on PlayStation. Apparently, Sony's going to have a couple lawsuits headed their way based off of this announcement too. From what I saw online, a group in Mexico and a group in the Netherlands are suing Sony based on the control they'll have with the PS Store. But on the bright side, Nintendo looks like they're going to be at least supporting some physical media releases for the rest of the Nintendo Switch 2 lifespan, hopefully. And again, it's only been out a year, so I'm assuming we'll definitely have quite a few more years with it. But, the question is, will Sony backpedal on this because of all the heat they got? I don't think they are. I think they knew that they were going to do this for a while and just figured that with GTA 6 announcing that there wouldn't be a physical copy of a physical edition of their game, I think Sony was like, this is the time. Yeah, we might as well go ahead and say it. And, they came out with it, giving us an 18-month head start, letting us know what's going on. So, yeah, I think they're definitely going to stick to their guns on this one. But I will say, I think Xbox has a huge decision to make now, whether they're going to go fully digital as well or continue with the physical media, or at least have a disk drive on their Project Helix, the next gen console for the Xbox, to either win back some gamers based on what Sony's doing, and also, to appease the physical collectors and the backwards compatibility, which they've always been pretty good with. I did read Xbox is coming up with a disc to digital format, or they're working on it, to where you could put your Xbox discs into your console, and it will give you a digital license to continue playing that game. I'm assuming that it will stick with the account and, of course, move through the next generation, even if they don't have a disk drive on it. That way you could still technically play your physical games. You don't have to repurchase them since you don't have a physical version. It'll give you the license for it. I'm really curious to see how this works once they unveil the whole thing, but I think it will be a huge win for Xbox for now, because they definitely need something, considering all the stuff that's been going on with them over the last week or so. The CEO of Xbox, Asha Sharma, announced that Xbox is resetting. I don't know what they're doing over there at Xbox with all the layoffs, the studios in limbo, whether they may be closing, sold, or going independent, such as studios like Arcane Studios and Compulsion Games. Compulsion Games made We Happy Few and South of Midnight, which both were incredible games in my opinion. If you haven't played them, you should definitely check them out. Anyway, in the message that was sent to Team Xbox employees globally, Asha says, and I quote, "We are beginning the most significant restructure in Xbox history. After careful consideration, I've made the difficult decision to reduce our team by approximately 3,200 throughout fiscal year 27. This will include approximately 1,600 role eliminations today, and in addition, 4 studios will leave Xbox to new management. I recognize that a year-long restructuring creates additional challenges. Unfortunately, it is not possible to make all the necessary changes in a single day, and I wanted to be direct about the scale. I know this is painful. These changes will directly affect people who have poured their creativity into building Xbox. Many have joined us through acquisitions, while others were recruited here, or sought us out because they love this industry and loved Xbox. Today's decisions do not reflect their talent or dedication. Our business today is not healthy. We are operating at margins that are 3 to 10 times lower than comparable platform and publishing businesses. We entered Gen 9 with a smaller install base and a higher cost structure. To grow, we bet on Game Pass, multi-platform, and a broader portfolio of content. While those businesses have created meaningful value, they did not grow at the pace we expected. And as that happened, our core business weakened and we added more teams, more investment, and more time, hoping for a better outcome, and now the industry is facing most severe hardware crisis in its history. We must reset Xbox. End quote. The letter continues on talking about the studios that are leaving Xbox and how they plan on reducing the management layers to overall simplify the Xbox platform. It just really sucks so many people have to lose their jobs in the process of Xbox doing this. Xbox needs to find their lane and stick with it. Personally, I love Xbox. I think the platform is great. I think Game Pass is awesome. Although every time I read about it online, it talks about how Xbox subscriber count for Game Pass is nowhere near where they want it to be. They've just got to figure out how to make it work for them.
That landing zone has been tagged by UNSC Command as a priority 1 target. That charge link is loud and clear.
Copy that. Acquiring signal lock on the pylon. Detonating in 3, 2.
It's no secret. Xbox is way behind the competition. But no one wants to see Xbox leave the gaming industry because no one to keep Sony in check would be terrible. Nintendo was on a huge decline after they released the Wii U and for quite a few years after that, but they turned it around and have been thriving since 2017 with the release of the original Switch. So it is possible. And Xbox has the pieces to do it. I'm just hoping that they get it together and can figure it out. I normally don't care about all the politics in the gaming industry, but as of late, it's been really hard not to. There's just been so much going on over the last 2 weeks from all companies involved. And I kind of just feel like the end of an era is right around the corner. And it doesn't feel natural. It feels forced. I think that's maybe why I feel a little uneasy about it. And change is hard. I try to do my best to embrace change. And I'm kind of feel like I knew this, we all knew the digital only was coming. But again, I just feel like right now it's being almost forced on us. But either way how it turns out, one thing is for sure. This hobby of gaming that we all love so dearly will definitely be changed forever over the next 18 months. We'll just have to see how it plays out. Tell me, what do you think of the current state of the gaming industry? Are you upset that physical media is leaving? Will it play a role in your decision for the next generation of consoles? Or are you part of the PC master race and you don't even care? Either way, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, hit that like button, and share it with a friend. Well, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching Pixels to Polygons, the 40-bit adventure. I'll see you next time.
On August 29, 1997, Skynet, a computer system built to protect us, became self-aware. It viewed humanity as a threat to its existence and decided to act. Judgment Day, as we eventually called it, marked the beginning of the war against the machines. Skynet attacks happened almost daily, but the attack that happened on that day was like nothing we'd seen before.